Thank you, Director Patel, for being here today. The FBI searched Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan residence, correct?
I believe that happened in 2018. I think there was 2 locations, sir.
It's 2019, and in that residence, the FBI found a safe, correct?
I don't have the catalog of evidence in front of me.
In that residence, the FBI found a safe, correct?
I'll accept your representation.
Okay. And in that safe, the FBI found topless and lewd photographs of girls, correct?
Again, sir, I'll accept your representation. I don't know.
Thank you. It was all over the media at the time. There's a New York Times article that says Jeffrey Epstein is indicted on sex charges as discovery of nude photos is disclosed, dated July 8th, 2019. And the Times reports a trove of lewd photographs of girls was discovered in a safe inside financier Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan mansion. Author Michael Wolff has conducted numerous interviews of Jeffrey Epstein. I'm going to play for you a video clip of what Michael Wolff said Epstein told him was in the safe and what he showed the author was in the safe. So let's please play that clip now.
Elected. And I was sitting talking to Epstein, and he said, "Wait a minute, I got to show you something." And then he went into his safe, and he came out with photographs. They were Polaroids, I think, and he kind of spread them out like playing cards, and it was Trump. I mean, I think there were a dozen of them, and it was Trump with girls of an uncertain age at Epstein's Palm Beach house, where all of the things that he would ultimately be accused of took place. And I remember very vividly 3 of them. There are 2 in which Trump is, the girls, topless girls, are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a 3rd in which he has a stain on the front of his pants. And the girls are kind of pointing at it, sort of bent over, laughing.
So, Director Patel, I'm going to ask you a very broad and general question. As you know, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were friends. There are, of course, photos showing Donald Trump together with Epstein, correct?
I don't have the entirety of the photographs, but I think they've been photographed in public together.
All right. Are there any photos showing Donald Trump with girls of an uncertain age?
No.
How do you know that?
Because that information would have been brought to light by multiple administrations and FBI investigators over the course of the last 20 years.
Well, you know what? That's just not true, because no one knew about the creepy birthday message that Donald Trump wrote to Jeffrey Epstein until the Wall Street Journal disclosed it, and then all of a sudden, the Epstein estate provides it to Congress.
Well,
so certainly, you weren't there at the search. You don't know what Epstein may or may not have done with those photographs even prior to the search. Maybe someone has it. Maybe the Epstein estate has it.
You raise a great point.
So I'm going to ask you, have you asked to talk to Michael Wolff?
You raise a great point. I haven't personally asked to talk to Michael Wolff.
Has the FBI asked?
But the FBI, I'll get back to you if the FBI specifically
so Michael Wolff has
ever.
About 100 hours of testimony of Jeffrey Epstein. Wouldn't it be good for the FBI to interview Michael Wolff?
I'm not saying they haven't. I just don't know.
Has FBI subpoenaed the tapes that Michael Wolff has conducted of Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know.
All right. So if you could provide us an answer, that would be terrific.
Sure.
Well, let me ask you this question then. Have you looked at all the photos in Epstein files?
I have looked at all the information that the investigators who investigated this case have provided to run out credible leads.
And in the Epstein file, was there that creepy birthday message that Donald Trump had written to Epstein?
No, that's what I was trying to tell you. You raise a great point. The estate of Jeffrey Epstein has a voluminous amount of information that they have not released before.
Okay, so that's great. So wouldn't it be great if FBI subpoenaed the estate of Jeffrey Epstein for all that information?
The estate is under no obligation to provide that material, even pursuant to a subpoena. That's a great point.
Yeah, that's just false.
Okay.
That's just false. You're the frickin' FBI. You can subpoena the information from the estate, and you better do that.
That's literally not how it works.
I'm going to move on now and talk about Epstein's client list. You confirmed that it exists. Attorney General Pam Bondi confirmed earlier this year that it exists. So I just want to ask you a simple question. Is Prince Andrew on Epstein's client list?
The material related to Prince Andrew has been made public.
Is Prince Andrew on the client list?
We have released the index of names that were in Jeffrey Epstein's.
Is Donald Trump on Epstein's client list?
The index has been released, and the index will speak for itself.
So I'm just going to say, America, there's a huge red flag. The FBI director could not answer whether Donald Trump was on Epstein's
Gentleman's
client
time has
list.
expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Virginia. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the director for being here and for his.
What we just watched was Ted Lieu doing exactly what congressional oversight is supposed to do: take a narrow, sharp line of questioning and use it to expose gaps between a public promise, transparency, and the reality of what's been released. Lieu walked Patel through a simple, consequential chain of facts. The FBI searched Epstein's Manhattan safe. Media reporting at the time said the safe contained explicit photographs. An author who interviewed Epstein later described photos that implicated high-profile figures, and yet Patel, the man now in charge of those files, repeatedly could not or would not confirm whether he'd personally reviewed all the material or whether certain items, like a creepy birthday message, appeared in the files the FBI has. There are three things Lieu is forcing the public to reckon with. First, evidence versus explanation. Patel leaned on two defenses: that he's reviewed what investigators provided him, and that some material is controlled by the Epstein estate and therefore not necessarily reachable. Both claims deserve scrutiny. If the FBI genuinely lacks access to certain estate-held materials, the obvious step is to subpoena the estate or seek judicial relief. If court orders or grand jury rules actually bar release, the public should be shown the orders and the legal basis. Saying we released what we legally can is not the same as showing the record that demonstrates why other releases would break the law. Second, what transparency means in practice. Lieu didn't ask Patel to publish victims' identities or illicit material. He asked whether the FBI has pursued every lead, interviewed journalists who say Epstein showed them material, and subpoenaed tapes or other unique evidence. That's how transparency operates in a trauma-sensitive way: redacted witness summaries, indexes of seized items, and court filings that explain why sealing remains necessary. Those kinds of disclosures protect victims while allowing the public to evaluate whether an investigation was robust or hamstrung. Third, the political perimeter around process. This exchange shows how rhetorical promises, "I can release the black book," can turn into procedural opacity once someone takes office. Lieu's point about the Wall Street Journal disclosure of a birthday message is illustrative. New documents can surface years later, and an estate's voluntary cooperation is not a substitute for vigorous legal action when the public interest is weighty. If the FBI did not attempt to subpoena or otherwise compel production, that decision needs explaining. If it did and courts refused, the order should be entered into the record. For viewers who want to understand what should happen next, here are practical, nonpartisan oversight steps that preserve victim privacy while raising public confidence. Ask DOJ FBI for a categorized inventory of what was seized: files, computers, tapes, Polaroids, 302s, financial records, with a clear indication of what is still under seal and the specific legal authority for each seal. Demand copies of any motions filed to unseal or seek redactions tailored to protect victims, and track court responses. Request that the FBI state whether it has subpoenaed the Epstein estate for previously unreleased materials, and if not, why. Push for redacted 302s or an index of witness statements where possible. Redaction can hide names while revealing whether interviews contained leads implicating other people. Seek confirmation whether journalists or authors who say Epstein showed them material have been interviewed or subpoenaed, and whether recordings or takes have been sought. Insist any release plan be survivor-centered. Use independent victim advocates and anonymized summaries so disclosures don't re-victimize. This isn't pure politics. It's about building a process where the public can reasonably see that promises of transparency were followed by concrete legal steps and evidentiary accounting. If elected officials truly want confidence restored, they should stop accepting evasions and start demanding records, motions, orders, inventories, and timelines. If you care about this, if you want justice to be accountable and survivors' rights respected, raise your voice. Ask your representative to demand the inventory and court filings, and push for oversight that produces documents, not just talking points. Watch, share, and subscribe if you want deeper explainers on how unsealing works and what Congress can and should compel next.